run a closed company, hire employees, complete contracts, build the right buildings, and fight for dominance during the fashion shows in Pret-a-Porter. Welcome to Tantrum Mouse Studio D. I'm Kevin Dupp. Pret-a-Porter is a 2 to 4 player board game that has some worker placement, some set collection, plays in about 90 minutes, and is being published from Portal Games. They're bringing it to Kickstarter with a revamp. Let's look at the prototype components. There's a game board, player boards, cards, tiles, tokens, and more. This edition is completely redesigned, and the artwork is from Kwanchai Moria. You'll place out the contract, building, employee, and design cards and tiles on the board. And players get a player board, their action markers, some cash, one upkeep marker that they place on the 3000 spot, and starting design cards based on the clothing type they randomly get at the beginning of the game. Here's a quick overview of the game. There are 12 rounds in the game, symbolizing 12 months in a year. Each quarter has 2 working rounds and 1 exhibition round. At the end of every round, whether it's a working round or an exhibition round, there will be an upkeep phase, which is basically covering the cost of running your company. At the end of the game, players will add up their victory points and their cash, add them together, and the highest value wins the game. During the working rounds, you'll have a turn order phase, then a planning phase. Starting with the first player and continuing in turn order, each player will place one of their action pawns on a single location of their choice. Players continue to place out their pawns until every player has placed out their pawns. And then starting with location 1 all the way to location 9, you resolve each location in order. At location 1, you can get credit from the bank. Location 2 provides contracts. Contracts don't cost anything, but they are flipped over at the end of the quarter, and the other side is not as powerful. And then that's discarded at the end of the next quarter. At location 3, you get buildings. You place it next to your player board and pay the cost, and then increase your upkeep cost as well. You get employees at location 4. You place them in the different spots on your player board. But if they are all filled, you can place one on a building. If you don't have any available spots, you can replace, but you have to pay double the upkeep cost of the employee. At location 5, you'll get new designs, and then 6 through 8, you get material. You can choose one color at 6 and buy as many of that color as you want. At 7, you can purchase any number of colors, but only get one of each. And then at 8, you can choose a single type again, like at 6. The cost gets more expensive, and you can get quality at each of these locations too. We'll talk about quality in just a bit. At location 9, you can choose one of the available items like quality, PR, trend, and cash. At the end of the working round, you can pay to purchase upgrades on your building's employees, and then you pay the upkeep cost as shown on your player board. After 2 working rounds, you move to the exhibition round. During the exhibition phase, in turn order, you'll declare what one collection you'll show with the materials on them. You'll collect tokens, if you have any, as shown on your design cards, and any that are shown on your cards that are activated during the exhibition round. You'll look at the tile or tiles for that quarter. These represent cities holding fashion shows. Awards are given in 4 categories. You want the most of each to get the most prestige. Number of quality tokens, number of PR tokens, number of trend tokens, and number of cards in your collection. Each feature pays out differently, not only by what order it is on the tile, but also the player count. For instance, in a 4-player game, the first feature pays out 4 prestige tokens to the first player and 2 to the person in second place. The rulebook is super helpful in showing where you can get these different tokens, like the quality tokens from buying materials, or the trend or public relations tokens from certain cards, or even location 9. Then after you award prestige, you count up the number of prestige tokens by the number of cards in your collection and gain that much in cash. Then receive cash based on what is listed on the cards in your collection. You'll then discard your design cards and the PR, trend, and quality tokens. Now you'll keep your prestige points for now. Some cards actually benefit from them, and you'll exchange them in at the next exhibition round for points. And that is actually dependent on player count. So in a 4-player game, each prestige point is worth 3 points. In a 3-player game, each prestige point is worth 2 points. And in a 2-player game, each prestige point is worth 1 point. After 12 rounds, you'll carry out one more prestige exchange and then count up your cash and victory points together. The player with the highest total is the winner. So the first time we played this, I actually thought, I have to get all the materials in round 1. But I forgot you actually have 2 working rounds to gather those materials. So you don't want to forget that, so you can actually build a good foundation and get the cards you need, whether buildings or employees, to propel your business into a great, successful future. There are a lot of cards, and they all help you in some way. Do you go after the contracts that are free but have diminishing returns? Or do you invest in a couple good buildings and employees? I remember in one game, in the later rounds, there were a lot of trend awards being given out in the different cities. So early in the game, I went really heavy in getting trend tokens through the cards, which helped me a lot later in the game to get a lot of prestige tokens and cash. You'll also get a lot of cash based on the collection you put together. The more designs, the better. And you'll get a trend token for each icon that matches the clothing type on your player board. This game is really thinky, which I like, and I think the flow works really well. Place out your action pawns, and then you resolve them in order. So that helps you see what your opponents are going after, what locations they're going to. Are they going after certain types of tokens like quality tokens? Well, maybe you go for some other types of tokens to counteract that. Or maybe they're going after certain design cards or building cards, and you can adjust your strategy throughout the game so that you can do the best. You'll need cash for the cards you get and materials, and of course, as your company grows, you'll have to increase the upkeep. This resolves every single round, and you'll need enough cash to pay out that one too. And you might need to take out a loan if you don't have enough cash. And I think the theme works really well with this game. It's well integrated. You feel like you're running this clothing business with all the different parts. And there's even a little bit of stress trying to get the best cards for yourself and keep them away from your opponents. There are a lot more cities putting on award shows as you move from quarter to quarter. In the last quarter, you actually place in new cards reserved for the last quarter for the contracts, buildings, and employees. Now I know this is just a prototype, but the art from Kwanchai Moria is already coming through so well in this game. If you're looking for a strategic Euro game, you like the clothing industry theme or the illustrations from Kwanchai Moria, then be sure to check out Pret-a-Porter from Portal Games on Kickstarter this July, and we would love for you to subscribe to Tantrum House.